So we've reached a very crucial tipping point, or even breaking point, you could say, with this week's episode of 7th Time Loop the Villainess. So we know in the future, 5 years from now, when the big war happens, apparently because of Arnold's doing, Kyle's kingdom, little area, which is very small, be very easy to take over or completely destroy, is destroyed. And the offer that he pretty much ends up making towards Arnold is, we will be your main supplier. We will prioritize you and your kingdom. Hell, we won't even care about profits. Our metals, our minerals, they are yours for the taking. It's pretty much offering like slave labor of like, hey, we will do all this work and we'll give you as much as you can carry on your way out as long as you protect us. But here's the thing, Arnold could be the nicest guy on earth, and there's no reason for him to just simply look at a kingdom or a group of people who need help and use his army, use his power to protect them. Because if he does it for one group, he has to do it for the next, and the next, and the next, and then eventually you're protecting a bunch of people that you actually can't protect, your forces are drawn out thin, and people will take advantage of your kindness and they will kill you. Arnold he's always kind of on a path of trying to play the bad guy to begin with. I mean, hell, look at how he's treated himself throughout this whole show. If it wasn't for Riche, a lot of it would have gone a lot worse, especially with Theodore. But the interesting thing is that they are apparently very low on what they can offer, meaning they have nothing to offer. We've reached a crucial fork in the road. We can get Arnold to go down this path and protect them, but we need a reason to do that, or it's going to go the way it did the last time, and probably every other time before that. The only way I see this working out is if they have something to offer that they don't realize. And I think it's going to do something with medicine. Given that this is a character who's literally on death's doorstep, and Riche was making something to help him, I mean, they potentially, maybe it's soil, maybe it's the water, it could be something, but if they have some sort of plant that only they can grow, or maybe it's hard to grow anywhere else other than that location, if they can supply something, anything, that gives Arnold a reason to say, I can make this an excuse to help you, because deep down, if given the option, he will try to help people. I mean, it is possible, but it's gonna be a challenge, and I don't know if they're gonna be able to accomplish it at least this season, but I hope so, because this feels like one of the major turning points that could deviate from the war-driven path that Arnold is almost always destined to go down. I still think there will be a war in 5 years' time, but I think if there's enough of these moments, it won't be Arnold who starts said war. Of course, I have a full live reaction to this week's episode of 7th Time Loop over on my Patreon. If you want to see my full length of thoughts, they're over there if you're interested. I mean, I said it last week, like when you look at how this show started in episode 1, the absolute hell and terror and torment that was on someone like Arnold's face, to see where we were even by last week's episode with that whole engagement ring thing. You wouldn't think you would get to a moment like this quickly, and honestly, the power couple that will be this princess and prince and future king and queen is gonna be next level, especially because she has 6 previous lives to pull from, and with that comes a lot of different connections that she knows how to navigate a lot better, seen by the merchant. Or in this episode, it's the professor and the alchemist that he likes to, probably refer himself as, given what he actually does. It's going to be very interesting because while Arnold is very much infatuated and enthralled by her independence, he also does have a secret jealous side. It really feels that way. Sometimes it's a little more obvious than others, but I think there's a reason why he swung by to pick her up, because he probably's like, another guy with my girl, huh? I'm gonna make sure I escort her. And we get this very cute scene where she talks about how she loses track of time, and without a second guess, he gives her that pocket watch. These little moments do a lot to really define their building relationship, because this shouldn't feel as wholesome and cute as it does, given that even in present day, she is convinced he will go down a war-driven path. Yet she finds the current him so much more complex than she ever thought possible. And because of that, she's more open to these situations where she's like, I can see why he would turn him down. It's not because he's a douchebag. It's not because he's this evil guy. No ruler could just give a full army of support. Oh, people are trying to invade you? let me lose 100, 1,000 soldiers' lives to protect you when you literally offer my kingdom nothing. It's a blunt way to put it, but that's how it has to be. With her kind of like intervening in everything going on, there's a possibility she will discover and she'll bring up like, hey, actually, as someone who makes medicine or is very good with, alchemy or any sort of things, if she's able to use her connections and knowledge and discover something about this kingdom or this group of people that would benefit, it's possible. It's not guaranteed it will go smoothly, it's not guaranteed it will be perfect, but I think it probably is going to start with curing Kyle for good. And if they can do that, it probably will tie into something that their kingdom can offer, and, maybe it'll just be saving the dude's life. If you save a prince's life, I mean, that's kind of indebted for life at that point, you would think, or at least a very big repayment. If someone tries to invade you, will protect you. There's a lot of ways to go about it. It's just a matter of finding that true outcome. We've reached a fork in the road. We could go down the path that it usually goes down, or we can find a way to convince Arnold that protecting them is the thing to do. I mean, it's possible. He might just choose to do it out of the goodness of his heart, and it will cause drama, but you never quite know where they want to take this show. And it's so interesting because an episode like this, it's not explosive. It's not like something crazy happens it should be a slow episode. It should feel like, hell, if you explain a lot of the individual pieces to someone who doesn't watch the show, they'd probably say, oh, it kind of sounds like paint drying. But this shit's like watching your favorite sporting event, man. Like, I'm cheering from the stadium, it feels like. The little moments, like getting like, oh, this is a connection from my third life. Oh, I'm gonna use a skill from my fifth life. This girl, she may be limited physically because she's not as trained as she once was, which is why she's now training with the army, hence why she's trying to avoid the general who would recognize her. But she still has these skills, like she can basically do something you would think is from like an Assassin's Creed video game. She clears her mind, locates her target, and naturally blends into the crowd, ignoring him, but not making it obvious while having full-on conversations. The level of concentration that must be required to pull that off probably took her years to master in that fifth life, but she's still able to do it because she doesn't have to retrain her brain to do it, but stuff physically, even if she still has her skills from her previous life, she has to rebuild up that muscle mass, her endurance, and all that other type of fun stuff. But either way, I'm liking what they're doing. This feels like the final hurrah of this season, the final thing she's going to try to change. We, of course, had Theodore, we had the merchant, and now we're doing stuff with the professor, the alchemist. And depending on how everything goes with Kyle, we could end this season with us feeling like, damn, she really has deviated away from where it wanted to go, but there's still going to be a million other twists and turns, and it's going to be a full life of trying to prevent wars and keeping both of them on the straight and narrow. But that's kind of the brilliance of this romance. You pretty much start out thinking there's no way in hell she'll ever fall in love with this dude, to being like, actually, I think we've all fallen in love with this dude. This was a great episode. I'm very excited to see where they're going to take this whole dilemma with Kyle, but time will tell. Let me know your theories if you got any and how they're going to try to rope this kingdom into being protected down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we have that full live reaction over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we've got Hime Meow Toga, Carrot, Misto Dreamer, Red Eye, Isaac Slightling, and Sleepy Fox. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.